Hi, I'm Danny, and today I will be reviewing The Wrath on the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. Now this will be a non-spoiler review, so I'm going to try and leave out as many spoilers as I can, although the things I want to talk about may include minor spoilers, but nothing huge about the plot or anything, so you can still stay for the duration of this video without being spoiled. I will most likely pronounce some of these characters' names wrong, so bear with me. This book is about a girl named Shahrazad who is 16 years old, and she lives in a land where a boy king takes a different bride every night and kills her by the next dawn, and then he takes another bride and kills her. But his last bride was her best friend named Shiza, and of course he killed her, so she makes it kind of her mission to kill him before he kills her. Now, I've read books before where it kind of gives a review on the back saying, you know, like you will be sucked into this story, or you will actually be able to feel like you're in the story, and I truly actually felt that way for this book. So I truly felt like I could taste the food that the characters were eating. I was so into this story that it was painful to be dragged out into real life. Now let's talk about characters. Our main character, Shahrazad, or Sharzi, was an awesome rounded character. She may not be truly fully developed yet, but I felt like if this had been a standalone, she would have been perfectly rounded. She was passionate and determined and stubborn and bratty, but she wasn't so bratty to where she was annoying, but she owned her brattiness. Even one of the characters in here called her the Brat Queen, and she was sassy, and she surprised a lot of people in this, especially the King Khalad. He's used to brides to being hesitant because they know that he could kill them at any moment, and so they're expecting to be killed, so they're very hesitant around him. She's like, no, that's not gonna happen. I believe it's on her wedding night, one of the ladies' maids tried to put a necklace on her, and she's like, no, I don't want to wear that. But the lady's like, but it's tradition. No. I said, no, it's not gonna happen. But I loved her so much. Her sassiness, her brattiness, her passionateness. I loved her. And her stories were so interesting. I found them just as interesting as the story that was going on. Like when they would start, I would kind of like, okay, come on, let's get back to the main story. But once she started telling the story and you got into it, it was like, oh no, I didn't want it to end. They were so interesting, and somehow she always managed to weave what was going on currently, not only in their lives, but their relationship into those stories. And she was definitely my favorite character throughout this book. Now, the boy king, Khalad. What to say about Khalad? He didn't talk much, but when he did, he was well-spoken and almost wise in his words. It's hard to explain him because, like I said, he doesn't talk much, especially in the beginning of the book, but he was definitely well-spoken and almost wise beyond his years. And he's only about 18, I think, and Shahrazad is 16, so it's not too much of a gap between them, but from the way he talked and acted, you would think he was like in his mid-20s. At least that's the way I felt. Now, this book kind of slightly had a love triangle in it, because before the story, Shahrazad was in a kind of relationship with this other guy named Tariq. And so Tariq I didn't feel anything for him. It was kind of like he'd pop in and then he'd pop back out, and I didn't like him. It could have been the fact that if authors try to include a love interest that happened before the story, but that person is no longer with this love interest, no matter how much I see them in memories and stuff together, I will fight against this love connection. I don't know what it is, but if you tell me that the main female is with this other guy, but she is with another guy during the book, and she's still in love with the first guy, I will fight against it. Like Shahrazad, of course, as we know, is married to Khalad, the boy king, but she's also kind of still in love with Tariq. And no matter how much she thought about Tariq and her memories, and even when he came into the story, how she still kind of felt something for him, I couldn't do it. It's just like everything in me was fighting against him to just not like him. It could have just been that I didn't like him, or it just could have been because the author included this love interest in there that happened pre-story. Either way, I didn't like him very much. Now, if you've read 1,001 Nights, I can never remember the name of the dang story, but if you've read this Arabian fairy tale, I don't exactly know if you could call it fairy tale, but this story, like I think I was told the story when I was like a kid, like 8, maybe 10 years old. And I love this, and I love the story. Can't remember quite what all of it is about, but I remember like the basics of it, and I love that about it. Her stories were really interesting, and I wish that there was like maybe a companion novel to it full of just Sharzy stories. I would so read that book. Do love the cover, and I love the thickness feel of the pages. They feel more thick than a normal hardcover book, but it's the edges, the deckled edges. It's so hard to flip through it. Like normally if I'm reading a book, I can flip the pages and kind of feel how many pages are left. Like without looking at the numbers, I can tell, oh, there's about 100 or so pages left. But this book, the pages flip in like chunks, so it's impossible to tell how far you are from the ending. And I mainly only did that on the parts I found boring. So in a wrap up, I did like this book. I'm not quite sure if I'm gonna pick up the second book, though I am leaning towards it, especially with that ending. Oh, that ending. And I gave this, I think, a 3.5 stars. It's probably more like a 3.7, like it's close to a 4-star, just didn't quite make it there yet. But I definitely recommend this book, especially if you like retellings, not only fairy tale but different culture retellings. You should definitely pick up this book. Well, that is my hopefully non-spoiler review for Wrath in the Dawn, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!